What's up, guys? Today we're gonna do something different. Last time you seen me cooking in my kitchen, and this time we're just gonna spend some time outside, and I'm just gonna make some kind of small talk videos. So I'm gonna choose some like interesting subjects. QuakeCon is coming up soon, so I think that's the most interesting thing for all the viewers. They are all interested like who's gonna win the tournament, how it's gonna be different to play on land than online. So I'm just gonna speak about that a little bit today, and I hope the sound gonna be good. You need to forgive us because we are outside, so we'll see. Okay, so today's subject which we're gonna talk about is going to be who's gonna win QuakeCon in 2022. The official dates of QuakeCon is 18th of August, I believe, so it's gonna take place on LAN. We were supposed to play offline, which changes a lot of approach of the players and the whole preparation system and everything. I think it's very interesting subject. I was also speaking about it with Wenger, and we were quickly discussing how many changes there is between preparing for offline event, which is on internet, on LAN, or the differences are significantly, but we're gonna discuss it a bit later. It's gonna be probably in the Romania on PGL event. In general, we're gonna talk about who's going to win, so I will try to run through the players, and I will try to describe their advantages and why I think certain players gonna win. But first of all, we need to wake up very early, which already gonna make things like very problematic for a lot of players. When we really want to give our best, we cannot really like wake up very early, like 6-7 a.m. I'm talking about European players now, because for NA players it's completely opposite. They actually need to wake up early and be like full force very early in the morning, like 7-8 a.m. or something like this. So that's first factor. I think a lot of players like Wenger, for example, or myself, we are waking up like later during the day, so we need to fix that already like few weeks before the tournament. For Kilson, I think it's like a big advantage because he's usually like, he naturally wakes up very early. I was playing with him a lot of 2v2 tournaments. We've been together on QuakeCon in the same room, so I know his schedule. I know that he feels really good in the morning. So I think a lot of people gonna work on that. Second of all, in tournament environment, you need to play a lot of matches during one day. So it's not like QPL, where you basically play against only one opponent. You got to play 3 maps, so it's like half an hour. You try to focus as much as you can. You already know picks like 1 week before, right? So that's another thing. So you got picks against your opponent 1 week before. So it also gives advantage to people who like to prepare for certain match, right? So on LAN, I think, and in tournament environment, you need to be very flexible. I think you need to already prepare a few weeks before what kind of picks you wanna play, what kind of maps you wanna play. The perfect scenario is, as some people do, they run like a Google Excel document where they got like all the data, all the info. Like I was talking about it with Dewey on one of our podcasts. He was collecting all the data, like what kind of champions people tend to play. Certain players, he had data on every single player, like what is he picking, what is he banning, what maps is he playing, what kind of matchups were played, and which matchup was more successful. I think he even had something like, let's say, Blood Covenant, and then there was a matchup like Doom Nix, and he was running the statistics, which champion won this map more. So I think if you get something like this and you study it before the tournament for a few weeks, I think it's also very important. That's one of the most important factors actually. Another factor is like playing in new place. So we are traveling to different places. We usually have 1 day before. Full day is free for us players to join and practice, set up the chairs, set up the monitors and tables and everything around. So I think that's very important, and you cannot be slacking, you cannot be lazy 1 day before. So you cannot do such thing like, okay, let me rest for this day, and then I'm gonna come like next morning and I'm gonna like set up everything. You cannot do it in new places because there's always some problem. Like the common mistake of all of us is like most of us don't even know like our monitor settings or like our NVIDIA settings. We are forgetting to take screenshots and things like this, and then we're trying to figure out the best settings, or like every monitor like works a little bit different, so it has different colors. We need to adjust. It just takes time. So the best is to join the practice area very early, just play some games, and that's another factor. Like it's very important to warm up in new place, not only like run around the map or things like this. It's like very important to just sit down, put your headsets on, because then you also need to check sounds and everything, and then play few maps, like few duel maps against someone, like as if you would play on a tournament rules. It helps a lot, and you cannot be lazy on that. And yeah, also what I wanted to say is on tournaments you usually play much more matches during the day, so your stamina is very necessary in this environment. And a lot of people also ask how I'm practicing duels and things like this, and I usually say that I'm not really practicing that much duels. I always try to make sure that my mechanics are on point. I try to play 2v2. I also prepare my picks before the game, so I'm trying more to prepare from this kind of side of the game. So be prepared for the match, for one match, with my own picks and everything, and I try to keep my mechanics really good. And before such tournament, and I always say that only before tournaments, before big tournaments, I'm trying to ramp up my game. I'm trying to play more duels and more games in general, because if I would have to go to tournament now, let's say after some break, let's say now I got like 2-3 weeks QPL break, right? So I went like for some quick holidays. I'm not playing, I'm not touching PC. If I would have to play like whole tournament or like at least 4 or 5 games, I think my mind wouldn't be able to focus on that. Already after like 1 or 2 games, I would get tired. I wouldn't be able to time items. I wouldn't be able to focus on the game. On all the aspects of the game, because it's like it's just micro moments which are like very important, and they are deciding if you're gonna win the game or not. If you don't have like this feeling and this like in-game feeling, then you're not gonna win. So like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before tournament, I will try to play as much as I can, just like to make sure that I can be able to play like a lot of the games in the row, taking all of these factors into consideration. And based on that, based on like preparing and warming up, like your practice schedule, playing a lot before tournament to be able to play a lot of the games, being able to adapt to new environment, being able to sleep well before tournament when the schedule is changed, because it's not like it's only difficult for Europeans to play in the evening in QPL and they tend to wake up later, but it's also difficult for Americans who, let's say like if this QuakeCon gonna take place in Europe, then they need to fly, they change in the schedule, so it's like a jet lag and everything, right? So taking all of this into consideration, now I'm gonna try to like figure out who can win. I think what's most beautiful about the Quake, it's like really unpredictable at times, and especially on LAN. I remember many times there was matches on LANs where we were like, okay, this guy for sure gonna win, and the opposite like result was happening. So it's difficult to predict it. I think same was like last year in 2021 with Wenger, who won the previous QuakeCon. I think nobody expected that, to be honest. He was like practicing very quietly. I remember he didn't stream. He had a lot of blocks of practice against Killsan, Raze and other players, and I think that was the perfect approach from him. He was waking up early. I remember he was like eating very healthy. He was running, trying to convince themselves that they are ready, that they're gonna win. You cannot think that you're gonna lose, like truly inside of yourself. But I think Killsan believes himself, and he also is very positive. So I think like losses don't touch him as much. It doesn't mess up with his head. I think he can still lose a map and then come back in the set. So I think being such a positive guy is extremely important in those kind of tournaments. Another guy is Wenger. I actually wouldn't like to like rank them like Rafa first, like Killsan second, or Wenger third, because I think it's too hard to predict. But I think like they are all like almost on the same level, and everything can happen. And I think Wenger improved a lot. And if he can like keep this momentum which he has right now, I think he has big chances of winning. I'm not gonna go through details with him because I already spoke about it with him. If he keeps his like practice schedule from last year, he has a big chance to win. And now there is like more complicated things to discuss, because now we got the rest of the players. I would also place Raze up there, right? So I think Raze is super dangerous. I see him winning games and I see him really doing good. He played this 2v2 tournament and he was a beast. He was doing a lot of damage. He was playing like extremely good, like mechanic wise. Being able to play with higher sense gives him more flexibility on like picking champs. Like he can actually play scale really good. Like people used to ask him why he didn't play like scale back then, because like he loved tanks, he loved to play kill, he loved to play Sorla, he loved to play clutch. He's like the best clutch player there, and he couldn't like pull off scale barrier because his sense was too low and he couldn't charge. So now he has he's more versatile, he has more chain picks, so he's also gonna be super dangerous. I don't want to like predict the score based on participating with Russian players or not, because the reality at the moment is that Russian players, they are not banned, because many people think that they are banned, but they are just like they are just on hold. And I think some companies are just seeing how the whole situation gonna develop. I personally, if I would have to say, I think there is not enough time to make changes, and I think Russians won't actually participate in this QuakeCon. So I don't think there is a point to predict scores with them. Also, like for example, Cypher, right? Quake is his life, Quake is his love. He loves this game, he loves to practice. So I think all these like top four players which I said, or maybe I forgot about someone, Rafa, Kilson, Wenger, Raze, is like my sure bet. Like it's like I guess top 4 bet. From Americans, yeah, let's stick like to top 5, top 4. I think those guys are like sure. Also, like I think CNZ improved much, like just like last 2 weeks I think he improved much. So, you know, and then you have a lot of motivated guys who like practicing a lot. And okay, let's say Zenaku, right? He's like practicing a lot. This dude moved from Australia to a different continent to just play Quake and do nothing else. So it's like his main goal. So like such people are always dangerous because they're chasing the dream and they like living the life. So yeah, that's actually another interesting thing. I think I'm saying that the Rafa is titan of work. I'm saying that Kilson is working hard. Wenger, I think the hardest working like player in QPL at the moment is like Zen, and I can approve that because he was living in the same city as me. I seen like how he prepared. So Jesus, somebody is cutting grass, so I don't know if you guys hear me or not, but I think he's the most hard-working guy I ever like met in Quake. It's not necessarily gonna mean that he's gonna win, because there is also different factors. You need to be really like hard work only doesn't really pay off. You also need just a little bit of talent. I don't believe that you can win tournament with only hard work. You just need a little bit of talent, and those 4 guys, they all have a bit of talent. That's why I think they're gonna be on top. And for the rest, we will see. If I will have to choose between them, it's difficult. It's really difficult. I think on paper, like in the long run, I think maybe Kilson and Rafa have the best chances, because it's like consistency. They both super consistent. And then Wenger and Raze, I will say. And I think all what I wanted to say about all those factors. I think sleeping, eating, preparing, warming up in the same environment, setting up PC, making sure you have the same settings. You don't freak out about settings if the table is higher or lower. Like I remember easy fix for that. I remember Socrates. It's North American, very famous player back in the days in Quake 3, Quake 4. He came with the measure to the tournaments, and he already knew what's the distance between his chair and table. He measured everything. What was the distance between like a monitor and the edge of the table, and the height of everything plays like big role. So if you don't take care of that, it can cost you the game basically.